In September every year, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction releases information about how schools performed the previous year. One of the metrics they release is an A through F grade for every school called the North Carolina School Performance Grades, or SPGs. The SPGs were originally developed based on North Carolina state law. When the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESSA, was enacted at the federal level, the ESSA State Plan for Meaningfully Differentiating Schools was based directly on the model set forth in North Carolina law. SPGs are calculated at the school level and for student groups with 30 or more students in the group. At the high school level, the SPGs are determined based on 8 indicators. Indicators are only included if there is a minimum of 30 students or scores in the indicators calculation. This is important to consider as some smaller populations and subgroups may not include all of the indicators. 3 of these indicators are based on the North Carolina end-of-course assessments. They are the high school math, English 2, and biology indicators. The math indicator is a combination of NC Math 1 and NC Math 3 assessments. Whichever assessment is used is dependent on the student's mathematics pathway. These indicators measure how many students reach proficiency out of the number of students tested, if 95% of the students took the assessment. The 4th indicator at the high school is the adjusted cohort graduation rate. This indicator shows how many students graduate within 4 years of entering high school. Another indicator is the EL Progress Indicator. This indicator tracks adequate progress toward English language attainment for students who are considered English learners. This indicator is measured by the North Carolina Adopted Language Proficiency Test, the Access for ELS. If a student meets progress goals outlined in the progress table found in the ESSA plan, they are considered meeting progress. The measure shows the number of students who met these progress goals out of the number of EL students. The next indicator we will discuss is math course rigor. This indicator measures how many students earn credit in the NC Math 3 course by their 12th grade year. This measure is calculated by considering the number of students who earned an NC Math 3 credit out of the number of 12th grade students at the school. The final academic indicator is the ACT Work Keys indicator. This indicator is meant to measure college and career readiness. The numerator consists of students who earned either a silver or higher on the ACT Work Keys assessment and were a CTE concentrator, or students who earned a 19 or higher composite score on the ACT assessment. Students only count once in the numerator. So if a student achieved both of these benchmarks on both of these tests, they will still only count once in the numerator. The denominator for this indicator is the number of 12th grade students who have either an ACT score from 11th grade or who are a CTE concentrator with a valid Work Keys score. These 7 indicators are combined to account for 80% of the total school performance grade. There's one final indicator we haven't talked about yet. That is the growth indicator. This value is derived from the SAS-EVAS Growth Index. These index values range from -10 to +10. However, before it's factored into the SPG calculation, it is mapped to a 100-point scale. This indicator counts as the other 20% of the final school performance grade. As previously stated, 80% of the SPG is derived when you combine all the academic indicators that have 30 or more in the denominator. To combine them, you add all the numerators together to form a combined numerator. Then you add all the denominators together to form a combined denominator. Once you have those values, you divide them to get a percent and then multiply that percent by 0.8 or 80%. To find the other 20%, you multiply the growth 100-point conversion by 0.2 or 20%. Finally, you add the result of these two steps together to get the final SPG for that group. The A through F school or subgroup grade is determined by using this final SPG score mapped onto a 15-point scale. These rules are the basic rules for calculation. Students could be included or removed from these calculations due to other rules NCDPI applies, such as partial enrollment, first year in U.S. schools, and participation rules. The SPG is one way to classify schools. This should only be a starting point for understanding what is happening in a school. The Wake County School Progress Report is another way to understand how schools are doing compared to other schools. This report includes other measures such as survey data, demographic data, and teacher qualifications. We hope this was helpful as you begin to interpret and understand your school's school performance grade.